On February 20th, 2023, the skies over Yemen witnessed a tense moment that would send shockwaves across the region. A US Air Force F-16 providing top cover for a Navy task force became the target of a deadly missile strike. Fired by Houthi forces from the town of Hodeida, the missile was fast and dangerous, but it didn't stand a chance. The missile was fast, capable of reaching 2.8 times the speed of sound, and it had a range of over 20 kilometers. The F-16 pilot had mere seconds to react. Fortunately, the F-16 is no ordinary fighter jet. It's equipped with advanced electronic countermeasures designed to defeat just this kind of threat. The aircraft's radar, an APG-83 system, immediately detected the missile's launch from 42 kilometers away. But it wasn't enough to simply detect it. The pilot had to act quickly. Diving from 30,000 feet to just 15,000 feet, the pilot hoped to throw off the missile's guidance system, which relies on the Houthi radar to keep a lock on its target. But even with this sharp dive, the missile kept coming. The SA-6 is a semi-active radar-guided missile, meaning it relies on its ground-based radar to guide it toward its target. The more the pilot tried to evade, the more difficult it became to break the missile's lock. The F-16's radar can track up to 20 targets at once, but as the pilot swerved and maneuvered, the radar's effectiveness began to drop, especially when dealing with missiles approaching from a wide angle. The pilot needed to do more to shake the incoming missiles. Enter the PIDS, or Pylon Integrated Dispensing System. Mounted on the F-16's wings, these dispensers were ready to unleash countermeasures. The PIDS deployed 12 infrared flares and 24 radio frequency chaff bundles, which created a decoy cloud of interference. It was a desperate attempt to confuse the missile, but even with this massive flurry of decoys, the SA-6 missiles still managed to hold their lock. The situation was getting critical. The final line of defense was the AM-ALQ-184 electronic jamming pod mounted on the underside of the F-16. This pod is capable of jamming radar signals in a range from 2 to 20 GHz. As the pilot activated the jamming system, the missile lost its connection to its ground control. With the lock broken, the missile's accuracy plummeted by about 70%. As a result, the missiles veered off course and missed the F-16, allowing the pilot to escape unscathed. But this wasn't the end of the story. Just 44 minutes later, at 6:07 p.m. local time, another US aircraft, an MQ-9 Reaper drone, became the target of Houthi missile fire. This drone, operating out of Jebeli airfield in Djibouti, was monitoring Houthi supply convoys near Hodeida when it too was targeted by an SA-6 missile. While the Reaper isn't as advanced as the F-16, it wasn't helpless. The drone's missile warning system, the Pandora system, detected the launch within 8 seconds. Almost immediately, the drone deployed countermeasures, launching flares and chaff to try to confuse the incoming missile. As the drone climbed above 15,000 feet, its countermeasures activated again, releasing flares and chaff to create a cloud of interference around it. The drone system could launch up to 60 flares and 120 chaff bundles in a single sortie, enough for roughly 12 missile engagements. The Reaper's radar warning receiver also played a crucial role in detecting the system launch early enough to react in time. Despite the countermeasures, the Reaper wasn't completely safe. When it returned to base, maintainers discovered that several of the missile's 12,000 steel pellets had punctured its right wing. Luckily, the drone was still able to fly again shortly thereafter, though it had suffered some damage. This incident marked a significant development. It was the first time Houthi forces had directly attacked a manned aircraft, raising the stakes in this ongoing conflict. The unprovoked attack on US forces was met with swift and decisive action. President Trump, shocked by the daylight missile strikes, ordered an immediate and overwhelming response. Within hours, US Central Command authorized the USS Spruance, a guided missile destroyer, to steam closer to the Yemen coast. Once in position, the ship received encrypted orders to strike back at the Houthi missile systems. This wasn't just any routine missile strike. This time, the Navy had something more powerful in mind. Normally, the Navy would have used Tomahawk missiles for such an operation, but they opted for something different this time, the SM-6 missile. The SM-6 is one of the Navy's most advanced air defense missiles. It can travel at speeds of up to 3.5 times the speed of sound, and its warhead carries a hefty 1,500 kilo payload. But the SM-6 isn't just an air defense missile anymore. Over recent years, the Navy has modified it to be capable of striking ground targets as well, and it was this modified version of the SM-6 that would be used for the counterattack. Why use the SM-6 instead of the Tomahawk? The SM-6 was chosen over the Tomahawk for its speed. The SA-6 launch's slow 34 mph speed meant it could be far away by the time the Navy received the launch order. With limited time, the SM-6's speed and effectiveness made it the perfect choice for the mission. The USS Spruance crew had less than 30 minutes to prepare the launch and calculate the missile's path. At approximately 3:45 AM local time, 2 SM-6 missiles were launched from the USS Spruance's vertical launch system. The missiles zipped through the air, traveling several hundred miles to strike the SA-6 launcher. After just 6 minutes, the missiles hit their target, destroying the launcher and killing 8 Houthi operators in the process. The strikes were precise, powerful, and deadly effective, sending a clear message to the Houthis about what happens when they target US forces. But the US wasn't done yet. From 2014 to 2015, the Houthis had captured several SA-6 launchers from the Yemen government, with Iranian assistance in upgrading their radar systems and missile technology. The Houthis had built up a sizable missile arsenal, one that had already caused significant damage to US forces. After the successful strike on the SA-6 launcher, the US military decided to send a stronger reminder to the Houthis about why attacking US aircraft is a dangerous game. At 6 PM local time, the US Navy launched a series of retaliatory strikes. FA-18 Hornets, armed with AGM-154 Joint Standoff Weapons or JSOWs, took off from the deck of the USS Harry S. Truman. These weapons were more powerful than the usual 2,000-pound bombs that are typically used in strikes like this. The AGM-154 has a range of up to 130 kilometers and carries either 145 bomblets or 192 pounds of explosives, making it a long-range, high-impact weapon. Between 6 PM and 11:30 PM, waves of FA-18s hit multiple Houthi targets near the port city of Sada. Meanwhile, the USS Gravely fired 6 Tomahawk missiles at the smoldering ruins, ensuring that the damage was extensive and irreversible. The strikes destroyed a staggering 14 ballistic missiles, 3 more SA-6 launchers, and 23 other anti-ship cruise missiles. These attacks crippled the Houthi forces' ability to launch attacks against US aircraft or ships, though it didn't eliminate their missile capabilities. The Houthis still had more missiles left, waiting for the next round. The US Navy sent a clear message: attack US forces and there will be consequences. While the Houthis suffered significant losses, the conflict is far from over. The US has dealt a blow to its missile capabilities, but both sides are preparing for the next battle. This is just one chapter in the ongoing war. Want more updates on this intense conflict and the latest military news? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for the latest content.